G'day riders. Before we get down to the nitty gritty, I really wanted to show you some of the Ride Against fundraising biker t-shirt designs. They help raise funds for Riders Against Teen Suicide here in Otago. There's a heap of designs. I love this one, an iconic design with that iconic chopper. This one in a bit more of a classic biker style with that winged wheel there and the old school writing. This is my absolute favorite. The biker fist held there in the throttle position, and it's got the ring there with the green ribbon of mental health on it. I love this design, one of my favorites. There's heaps more at the Print Mighty Ride Against shop. Now I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested. All of the profits from the sale of these shirts go directly to the Riders Against Teen Suicide Otago charity fund, so you can get yourself some new garb and help the Riders Against Teen Suicide charity in the process. I know some of you are probably asking, where the heck have I been? I've been off YouTube and off Instagram for a couple of months now. For those that don't know, back on April the 20th, I had an accident on my motorcycle, and since then I've been dealing with the aftermath of that and dealing with injury. It turned out that I broke a rib, which I had to heal from. It took about 6 weeks. I broke my thumb, which is healing, but now I have to deal with a really heavily ingrown thumbnail, and something that I'm also still dealing with, torn and twisted ligaments and tendons in my foot. So what seemed like a fairly minor incident has actually turned out to have affected my life for well over 2 months now. So I wanted to get back into vlogging, and over the last couple of months I've had a lot of time to think, to really ponder on what happened, and I do like to look at myself critically so I can improve in the future. And one thing I did over the last couple of months was consider where I went wrong in that accident and how I came to ride off the road. So I want to let you know the 3 main things that I did wrong during that ride, plus I want to let you know one thing I was really fearful of in that moment. So the first thing I really did wrong was target fixation, was fixating on a target. Now normally a target is something that you want to hit, but in this case the target I was fixated on was the thing that I didn't want to hit. I remember years ago when I sat my basic handling certificate for my motorcycle, the tutor at the time said to me, target fixation is a real thing and there's very little that you can do to train yourself out of it, and you just have to try in the moment to avoid doing it. Now in this circumstance I just couldn't. The first thing I saw when I realized that I'd missed the corner was a whole bunch of bushes on the side of the road. Now I knew that I didn't want to go through those bushes, but simply by the mere fact that your motorcycle will go where you look, and I was looking at those bushes I didn't want to hit, the first thing that happened was I started going directly toward those bushes. Is target fixation something that you've ever experienced? If so, let me know how you handled it in the comments below. I'd really be interested to know. I'm not sure if it's something that I'll ever be able to train myself out of because it happened so quickly. The second thing that I did wrong was I think I got really complacent. We were about 25 minutes from our destination. We'd been riding 6 days to get to the top of the North Island of New Zealand, and we were so close. Complacency set in and I got a little bit too relaxed. Add to that a very unique piece of road. It was a switchback, but the right hand turn was going uphill and the left hand turn was going downhill. So right where it switched there was a brow, so it was very hard to see what was happening on that road. It was a slow speed piece of road. I was going about 40 kilometers an hour into that turn, and then just as I started to switch to the left I couldn't really see where the road went, and I started to drift onto the other side of the road. Just thinking about it over the last couple of months, it really was a unique situation. I really hadn't encountered a switchback like that. Now in no way am I saying it was the road situation or the road's fault. I really do think because I had settled into a bit of complacency, I was a little bit too relaxed, I really wasn't aware enough of the situation at the time. The third thing that I did wrong was I really don't think I managed my fatigue well. I think I was really quite fatigued at this point. We had been on the road for quite some time, at least a couple of hours at that point, and we'd been riding for 6 days every day. The first day was a huge day of about 10 hours, but riding every day. And interestingly, if you watch the motovlog of that tour, It was a recent motovlog called I Crashed My Harley-Davidson on Tour. If you watch that, just like I have over the last little while, you can actually see me getting more and more fatigued each day as we get closer to that accident. And that's probably the most important thing that I'll learn a lesson from. So I suspect that fatigue had a really huge part to play in really not being aware of what was happening on that switchback, what was happening on the road at the time. I think maybe for a split second I lost concentration. Add to that unfamiliar piece of road, add to that target fixation, and it was a perfect storm for a mishap. So what ended up happening was I went into that right turn about 40 kilometers an hour. At that point, that's probably when that fatigue just caught me off guard. That complacency caught me off guard. I lost attention for a brief moment, realized I was going too hot into that left-hand corner. I was crossing the center line. So my initial thought was, I probably need to come to a stop on the other side of the road. As soon as I looked up and saw those bushes, that was the target fixation, the target that I didn't want to hit, that I just went straight for. I locked up my brakes, so of course the bike then just wants to go straight, and it went straight for those bushes. I entered the bushes on the other side of the road. There was an embankment. Fortunately, it was a relatively smooth embankment, quite steep though, and the bike headed down there. I went through those bushes, my foot caught the bushes, was pulled off and under the rear wheel of my bike, so that's where all that tendon damage has come from. As I get through and out the other side of those bushes, just before the bike comes to a complete stop, I slam down on the right hand side of the bike. That's when I broke my rib and my thumb, and that was the result of that moment's inattention. That was that result of fatigue, complacency, and target fixation. My hope is that because I have looked at myself critically and looked into those things, that in the future I can avoid that. So that one thing that I was really fearful of in the moment, as I crossed that center line, because we've been riding in a holiday period, the day before, the traffic coming toward us was just a constant stream of traffic. So that was foremost in my mind at that time, that, oh my God, we're in holiday traffic now. This was actually the Tuesday after that holiday period, so everyone had gone back to work. Fortunately, the road was fairly clear, but in that moment, that my first thought was, oh my God, if there's a car coming around this corner, I'm toast. That was what kind of forced me to think I need to come to a stop on the other side of the road rather than try and do a large arc to come back around. That didn't help either. That just instant fear in my mind. So it was what it was, and here I am. Gladly still alive. Gladly I'm repairing. Gladly the bike can be repaired. Tell me, have you ever been involved in an accident, in a road accident on your motorcycle? If so, let me know what happened in the comments, and let me know if you were able to learn anything from it and what has happened for you in the future. I'm really interested. I really would like to know. I'm really glad to be back vlogging after a few weeks off. If you're new here and you've been educated or entertained by this content, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It's free to do so.